It's been called the greatest wealth transfer in US history. 84 trillion in assets is set to change hands over the next 20 years. Most of this wealth will go to Gen X, those currently between 44 and 59 years old, and millennials who are now 28 to 43 years old. In Australia, another 3.5 trillion will change hands. There's an important lesson for those who will inherit this wealth. How you handle this transfer will set the tone for future generations. In this video, we'll explore 3 key questions. What exactly is the greatest wealth transfer? How could it impact the stock and property markets? And how can we prepare for it? Starting around 2027, the first wave of baby boomers will begin reaching the age of 81 for men and 85 for women, their statistical life expectancy. This marks the beginning of the greatest wealth transfer in history. Over the following decades, baby boomers who currently control about half of the country's wealth will pass down 84 trillion by 2045. The wealthiest households, making up only 1.5% of the total, are responsible for a massive 42% of this transfer, amounting to roughly 36 trillion. As this enormous wealth changes hands, the stock market is likely to be impacted. Different generations have distinct attitudes toward investing, which could reshape how money flows into various assets. Each year, Bank of America Private Bank conducts a survey called the Study of Wealthy Americans. In 2024, they surveyed 1,007 high net worth individuals across the US. These 21 or older respondents had at least 3 million in investable assets, excluding their primary residence. Among younger investors aged 21 to 43, 72% believe it's no longer possible to achieve above average returns by sticking solely to traditional stocks and bonds. In contrast, only 28% of investors over the age of 44 share this view. Younger wealthy individuals show a stronger preference for cryptocurrencies and private equity, and even start their own companies or brands. As these younger investors inherit more wealth, we can expect a significant shift in cash flow towards these alternative investments. Older generations continue to favor domestic equities, real estate, and emerging markets. Real estate is one asset that remains universally valued across generations. Both older and younger investors show a strong preference for property. However, millennials face significant barriers to home ownership, like rising interest rates and unaffordable housing prices. So will the massive wealth transfer solve these financial hurdles for millennials? In theory, this influx of wealth could help more millennials become homeowners or alleviate some of the financial pressure. But will this transfer make millennials the wealthiest generation in history, or is there more to the story? It is crucial to consider that the bulk of this wealth transfer, 42% of it, will go to the wealthiest 1.5% of households. Wealth transfer is already underway for these families. Their children likely don't have college loans to worry about, may have already received help buying homes, or had their tuition paid for. For them, the excellent wealth transfer isn't a future event, it's an ongoing process. But what about the average boomer family? Yes, boomers collectively hold massive wealth, potentially as much as 84 trillion, but there are a lot of boomers, making up about 20% of the US population. We see that this wealth isn't evenly distributed. About 53% of these boomers have less than 250,000 in assets, which isn't enough to cover long-term care costs like home health aides or nursing homes. In Australia, the situation is similar. The boomers' median superannuation balance, the equivalent retirement fund to 401k, ranges from 158,000 to 211,000. Additionally, 1 in 6 baby boomers don't own their own homes, and some can't afford to retire due to insufficient superannuation savings. So maybe instead of focusing solely on how their wealth will benefit the next generation, we should also consider how to secure their finances for the comfortable retirement they deserve. Interestingly, many elderly people experience a reverse wealth transfer, receiving financial support from their adult children. According to a survey by AARP, a third of US adults in midlife, millennials and Gen X, provide financial help to their parents. In Australia, about 11% of boomers reported turning to family for financial support in the Compare the Market survey. So we can see that the stereotype of the cash-up boomer generation might not be entirely accurate. But if you are in a position to benefit from this wealth transfer, or if you want to ensure your family is well prepared in the future, there are a few things that you need to set up early on. Number 1, estate planning. First and foremost, you need a solid estate plan. This includes having a will, and if you have significant assets, considering a trust or company structure. According to the 2024 study of Wealth Americans, 56% of respondents have established a trust, but only 27% say they fully understand its benefits. Setting up a family trust or company can offer asset protection, flexibility in income distribution, and continuity in managing assets across generations. Given that baby boomers have the highest ownership rate, about 80%, much of their wealth is tied up in property. Most of this property is held under a joint tenancy with right of survivorship, and this means that when one owner dies, their share automatically passes to the surviving owner without going through probate, which can be a lengthy legal process. So far, it sounds great. However, it gets tricky when the last surviving spouse passes away. At that point, the property doesn't automatically pass to heirs. Instead, it will go through probate, distributed according to the will, or state intestacy laws. To ensure a smoother transfer of property and avoid probate, it may be wise to consider setting up the home ownership as tenants in common, where 2 or more people own the property as specific shares, which can be unequal. Each owner can leave their share to anyone through their will, allowing for more flexibility in estate planning. However, the deceased owner's share will still go through probate unless held in a trust. Minimizing taxes is a crucial part of the wealth transfer process. Without proper planning, capital gain and income tax could take a big chunk of your inheritance. For example, how do you handle superannuation death benefits in Australia, especially with the government planning to tax unrealized capital gains exceeding the 3 million benchmark? Are you taking the withdraw and recontribute approach, or do you have any other plan? If you're unfamiliar with the super death benefit tax, I'll make a detailed video explaining it. Number 4, asset protection. Protecting your family's wealth from potential relationship breakdowns is essential. Suppose you are concerned about your relationship or that of an adult child. In that case, it might be worth consulting a marriage lawyer to arrange a financial agreement before adding anyone as a beneficiary. Estate planning can be complex and every family situation is unique. It's always a good idea to consult an estate planning attorney who can help you choose the best strategy for your specific circumstances. Alright, the above 4 are on the technical level. What can be missed is a knowledge transfer. Passing down wealth isn't just about money. It's also about ensuring the future generations are financially literate. Consider educating your children or grandchildren on basic financial principles, investment strategies, and the responsibilities that come with wealth. Hold regular family meetings to discuss the family's financial values and long-term goals. This can help prevent misunderstandings and mismanagement. As we navigate this unprecedented wealth transfer, the choices that we make today will shape our family's financial future for generations to come. Whether preparing to pass on wealth or anticipating an inheritance, now is the time to think strategically and plan carefully. With all this in mind, here is a question. How do you plan to approach the wealth transfer in your family? Are you taking steps to ensure that the wealth you pass on or receive will be a blessing rather than a burden? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My name is Irene. I'll see you next week. Bye.